Hello, powerful listeners. Welcome to another episode of the Powerful Inc. Startup Stories podcast. Today, I'm speaking with Andrea Galbreath down in California. So she actually woke up before 6 a.m., presumably to wake up a little bit and join me in my own time zone. So God bless her for that. And she is the owner and founder of this incredible plant company called Just Suck It. And so she specializes in succulents and started through, typical story in the sense of life pivot, finding a new way to produce income, but really embracing the opportunity of change put in front of her to step into who she really is. And she is killing it out there and having a blast and just has this super fun, bubbly personality with a bit of sassy attitude. And what she's done is complemented her succulent plant business with her natural skills and talents from past corporate lives and that sort of thing, to provide coaching and self-awareness and helping people overcome themselves a little bit as well, so that we can all thrive happily. And she's got all kinds of super fun little sayings and things. So I'll hand it over. Welcome to the show, Andrea. And please add, edit, delete anything that you want from that.
No, thank you. That was perfect. I love how you added that. I add in the life coaching, if you will. Most people just say she has a really fun succulent company. So I'm glad that you mentioned that, because it is a succulent company. But my vision is to inspire people, or to get people inspired to be happier, kinder, and more loving to themselves and others. So I'm glad you noticed that.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, because it's such a nice combination. And so tell us about how that came. Like you had mentioned that you have been on the online space before. You were in corporate wellness. COVID happened.
Yes.
And now here we are. And it looks like you're in a thriving business where you can combine all the fun things. So how did you come to that?
Well, I'm actually a social worker. I went to school to be a social worker. I started my career in a behavior management program for children, and I learned so much about human behavior and communication that has served me my entire life just because of that experience. And then I went from working with children to being a hospice social worker. And for those that are unaware, hospice is a program that supports people who have 6 months, 6 months or less to live. So I would work with a team of nurses with people who were dying. And that was an incredible experience as well. Not depressing, even though people think it's depressing, wasn't depressing at all. And then I had decided I actually wanted to meet people before they were sick. I realized that a lot of people either didn't know how to make healthier choices or didn't have access to resources. And then that's how I got into health promotion and disease prevention. And then that segued into corporate wellness. And I thought I was going to do that forever. But then the corona apocalypse happened.
Yeah.
And I found myself unemployed. And right before that, I had transformed my front yard into a succulent oasis. And that's what started the succulent obsession. And I was going to create a blog or a vlog about it, because my family was not as interested in succulents as I was, but I figured I know there are other people out there who love succulents like me. So I had bought the domain Just Suck It after a couple glasses of wine.
Yeah, and great.
And so it was there. It was just there. And when I was just, I lost all my corporate contracts. I was sitting around. And I thought, well, what can I do? And I thought, well, let me see if I can actually turn my obsession with succulents into something. And it was going to be a subscription/membership program where people signed up and I would send them a succulent with some kind of inspirational message.
Okay.
And then one of my friends asked me to make a little gift package for her friends, and it turned into a gift company almost immediately. And then I started posting about it. It was fun. And then I started getting more orders, and then I started getting orders from people I didn't know. And then I got repeat orders from people I didn't know. And I realized I had a thing. So that's when I turned it into an actual business. And I've had it since.
Okay, and so that's been like 2-3 years in the making to the
Yeah,
point where
so
it is now?
the official business date is July 8th when I turned it into an LLC. So it'll be 3 years,
Okay.
July 8th. Yeah.
Okay. So you got to a point where you decided that getting incorporated would be sound. And what shifts happened with you and in I guess the operations, if you will, of this being a bit of a hobby and evolving into a business?
Well, I started including skincare. I was the gift boxes were evolving. Started with just a succulent, and then it was a succulent and a candle. Then it was succulent, and so I was adding new products to all of my product line, and skincare and those things. I thought, if something goes wrong, somebody might sue me. But with an LLC, it offered additional protections, and that's why I did it. It was primarily for the additional protections.
Yeah. And so to separate yourself from the business, so if people don't know or often wonder at what point they should get incorporated, talk to some professionals and, consider like, what are you actually doing with this business? What is the goal, or this revenue generating thing that is happening, right? Because you will come to a point, potentially, if you're listening to the show, you want to run a business. So then you do need some separation between yourself and that company. And an LLC will allow you to not get sued, basically.
Yes,
it's
or
not
you
you
get sued, but keep
it's
your
the
stuff.
company.
Yeah. Yes, the company. You get to keep your house and stuff.
Exactly, which is super important. Okay, and so were you like at a revenue level that indicated that, or just you just kind of intuitively saw that this was becoming bigger and bigger and you wanted to like commit? Was there a mindset shift that went with that?
It was the amount of orders that I was getting, and the fact that it would people I didn't know. I had already gone. That's when you know you actually have a thing. When you first start a business, family, friends will come out and support, and that seems really, really exciting. It is really exciting. And then hopefully word of mouth happens, it spreads, and then people you don't know will order. And then when I was getting repeat orders from people I didn't know, the same customer was coming back and sending gifts to different people. That's when I knew, I'm like, oh, this is a thing. It wasn't an accident. It wasn't just a small group of people excited for me and wanting to support me, but people are coming back. So that was the shift in how I perceived what I was doing.
That's awesome. So like a lot of things lined up organically, it seems, with, starting to grow succulents in the front yard for a wedding that is happening later this year, you said.
No, actually, it's a different wedding.
Okay.
We did not make it through my relationship didn't make it, but my business did.
Okay, good. Well, sometimes you can keep what's worth it and get rid of the rest.
Yes.
Okay, fun. And so now are you, you're your own inventory, like you're growing it at your house?
No, I couldn't keep up with the demand. There was too much. So now I go directly to growers, which is really fun because I get to see so many. They can grow so much more in so many different varieties than I could by myself right now. Anyway, I just go and buy the plants. I do grow some just for fun, but there's no way I could keep up with the demand.
Well, that's amazing. So that gives us a bit of a sense of the scale of how big this thing has become, right?
Yes.
And how do you weave in the life coaching into it?
Well, what's interesting is it's just naturally part of who I am. I feel like it can't just be product based here, buy a succulent and be happy. And for some people that is enough. But for me to actually feel like I am making a difference in this world, I feel like I have to be helping people thrive in some way, whether a little nugget of whatever helps them live a little bit better. So I didn't really have a plan with that other than I'm just going to share this. Then I realized that on my social media, most of my posts, I guess reels now, the reels that added my Embrace the Suck message were the reels that got a lot of shares. and it attracted people to me. And that's actually how I started getting corporate orders, because one of my Embrace the Suck videos went viral at the time. And and then a corporate company reached out to me and said, hey, can you handle 300 boxes? And I'd never done 300 before, which, by the way, reminds me that first year of business, I had never had a product-based business before. I'd been in the service industry, I'd been in the not digital marketing, but digital programs, I guess it's digital marketing industry, had no idea how to ship a succulent, didn't know how to manage inventory, any of those things. And it's a whole different ballgame when you're shipping something alive. Plants are alive.
And so arranged, like you make these beautiful, delicate arrangements, right? So we'll have the links in the show notes. But what she does is really aesthetic and calming. Like even just looking at the images, I'm zenning out.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, big time. So you don't want them to get very disturbed either in the shipping process, right?
Right. And I just binge watched a bunch of shipping videos, different kinds of products. I ordered arrangements from companies. I ordered individual
to see how they shipped,
companies,
what they did to get them to you. Okay.
And I recorded unboxing all of them to see what material they used. And other than my very first box, nothing was ever destroyed. The very first box I shipped was a hot mess. I don't know what I was thinking. I don't know why I thought the post office would keep it straight up the whole time. But apart from that, I haven't had anything break, no plants have, but, awesome. And all of that happened because I watched Shonda Rhimes' TED Talk called The Year of Yes. And then I got the book, and she decided to say yes to everything. And I thought, well, if Shonda Rhimes can do it, so can I. And I said yes to everything. When the first box that I shipped, someone said, can you ship? And I said, yeah. I had no idea how to do it, but I knew I could figure it out. And then when I got the email from, it was City of Hope, which is a huge medical research center here. They
so very aligned with like your past history and the wellness element and all of that. Yeah, beautiful.
Yes. Yeah. And I said yes. And I figured I'd figured it out, and I did, and everything got there on time, and everybody was happy. And I said yes to everything because I didn't know what I would like and what I didn't like. And I realized I can figure things out. So that's not an issue. The issue was, or the challenge to me was figuring out what part of this I liked and what part I didn't. So I want to do more of what I liked and less of what I didn't like. And I wouldn't know unless I tried. And I've, now I'm more discerning of what I say yes to and what I say no to, just because I tried a lot of things. But if even now, if a new opportunity comes and I'm like, oh, I don't know how to do this, I say yes if it's it kind of around my yes bucket, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. So you dove all in and swam in the great big ocean of it all. And now you have like your favorite spots to hang out and spend time in. And that allows for some boundaries and some energy preservation and more clarity on ensuring that what you deliver always comes back to your vision and your soul purpose, basically.
Yes.
Right. And then in that you will, because in business, at the beginning too, I think we can just say, we want to say yes to everything, and you take what you can get, like beggars can't be choosers sort of thing. But that can come from a bit of scarcity mindset, and the way that you described it comes from a curiosity and an exploratory mindset, and that is an important distinction to consider. So that we all have to learn some lessons along the way, and clearly your hot mess box didn't harm you. It just gave more information, more research, more understanding of what you're trying to do. So that's really cool. So how do you support yourself as an entrepreneur?
You mean for self-care?
Well, for self-care, you mentioned Shonda and reading her book and being very activated by what she had to share, but if we've never owned a business before, it's a steep learning curve, and there's mindset, and then there's like businessy things to know and that sort of thing. So are you working with a coach yourself or a mentor, or how are you kind of understanding the navigational world of being an entrepreneur?
Oh, well, I listen to a lot of books, a lot of podcasts. I've been doing that for over a decade. I was in a mastermind last year, and it was really good as far as mindset is concerned, but I was at a point where I needed less mindset, although now looking back, because I grew quickly. My company grew quickly, and then it tanked for a while, and that was really scary. And now things are, picking back up again, which is really exciting. So I wasn't prepared for that. I think getting a coach is really good I think everyone should have a coach. Now I have one through SCORE, and it's based more on strategy than it is mindset, because I feel like right now that's what I need the most in order to scale my business where I want it to go. And the books and the podcasts I listen to, I have, some favorites that help. And then I pay attention to how I feel a lot of the time, and then the thoughts that I'm having. We all have. I went to therapy years ago, and one of my therapists said, successful people have the same thoughts that you do. They just learn how to handle it differently. So that made me feel really good, because I thought, okay, so maybe I'm not that big of a hot mess if other people are, having these thoughts. So now when I have thoughts that are limiting, I say to myself, well, that's just a belief you have, Andrea, and that belief can change. And that's actually on repeat in my brain. And that took a lot of practice and a lot of like letting go of limiting thoughts and recognizing that. But that's how I get through things. And let me tell you now that it is a habit, it's so much easier to get through. Any challenges, or, when I feel like I don't know how to do something, I always say, well, you don't have to do it yet. You can, figure that out. And that's been really helpful. Actually, everyone should use that in business or life. I mean,
absolutely. Of course. Yeah. Because like I'm raising a young daughter right now, my little girl, and I just see that you can't avoid the wonder in a young person, right? But as we gather along in life, we collect things, and then they start to clutter up that innocence and that sense of possibility. And so any awareness work that you can do to remove that is good for the soul and good for the body, and can help you navigate whatever comes your way, because instead of reacting to it, you can kind of analyze, strategize a little bit, and decide, make a different choice around it.
Yes. And Barbara, I can never say her last name. I know it's Corcoran or Cora, I can't remember her last name, from the Shark Tank. She had said, worry doesn't fix anything. So she doesn't spend any time worrying. That has been really helpful too, because we do worry. When my business wasn't doing well, it was during that period where people were starting to go back to work. So there was a whole bunch of shifting. And since the majority of my orders at the time were corporate orders, they just stopped. And it was really scary, because I was shipping to people's homes to help with morale. And
so the business was buying in bulk to send to employees at home.
Yes. And it just stopped. And I thought, well, what the hell is happening? And it was really scary. And there was also this limiting belief when I started. I'm like, this is kind of an accidental business. I didn't actually plan it. And maybe the success was an accident and it wasn't meant to be, which is also just a belief I had and had to change. And I know I had to pivot a little bit how I market, and then who I was targeting, and even how I target my corporate customers. And now that everyone's back, people they love team experiences. So one of the things I've been doing more lately is workshops, which I love, because I love being with people. So that's also in alignment right now.
And it looks like, so on her website, listeners, she has this one workshop where there's a Christmas tree, and it's like the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. So in that workshop, do you teach people how to build that?
Yeah. Yeah,
Crazy.
it's super
So
fun.
there's a lot of creative ways to make this more than just about like a desk arrangement, right? There's a lot
Mhm.
of different opportunities to come out. And so now you can have live workshops and this and that. And then in the coaching part, do you create a succulent and coach at the same time, or how have you create, like, what's the format for that?
Well, when I'm doing my workshops, when I'm live with people, I
Mhm.
add my embrace the suck messages. So one of the things I love about succulents is that when the roots are cut off, they grow back. And
Okay.
I connect that to life. And if we
Mhm.
live long enough, something will happen that
Mhm.
feels like our roots have been cut off and we feel like life is over, we're never going to make through, but we have 100% success rate of getting through hard times. Our roots always grow back and will thrive again. So I
Mhm.
interlace messages like that are
Mhm.
inspired by succulent in my workshops.
Mhm.
And I just recently added a little keepsake keychain or label to all of my packages that say succulents are designed to thrive and so are you,
Mhm.
so that people can have that reminder. Hopefully they take it off and see it wherever they are.
Yeah.
So that's how that happens. My goal this year, though, is actually to launch a coaching program called Design to Thrive. And
Mhm.
we'll and I'm thinking near the end of the year. But
Mhm.
even with that, it's going to happen. But one thing that I've learned with my business is that I take things as they come, and
Yeah.
sometimes goals happen a lot sooner. And then sometimes when I think I'm going to launch something or I'm ready for something, I realize that I'm not. And then I just have to delay it a little bit. But we'll see. Hopefully this year, Design to Thrive.
Designed to
Coaching.
thrive. So that's
Yeah.
um, an important thing that you just dropped about that, we don't have to do everything all at once.
Yes.
And so you mentioned earlier about coming at your business now from a place of strategy so that you're kind of managing a business while still being the creative artist behind it. But if your plate's full now, then you have to look at when would be a good time to introduce something else and to manage your
Mhm.
own energy. So you're saying yes, but you're saying yes when there's capacity to integrate it as well,
Yeah. Hmm.
which is
I
very good.
Yes, and I think it's really important for new business owners to have patience and give
Mhm.
something time to
Yeah,
work.
yeah,
And
beautiful.
I know during the time when my sales dropped, I went into this um, panic panic stage where, because it was my primary income, it's my full-time thing,
Yeah,
so I didn't
yeah.
have a job that was supporting everything. So I literally was just like, I think this is going to sell. I think this is going to sell. I'd ask
Mhm.
one question to my audience, get 3 yeses, and then I'm like, oh my God, it's going to sell. And then I spend all this money on inventory or all this energy on creating assets for social media or something. And then it wouldn't sell. So
Mhm.
then I decided it wasn't going to work. So then I'd find something else. And it took me a few months of realizing worrying and throwing spaghetti at the wall, hoping that it'll stick, was
Mhm.
not serving me well. And I decided to actually look at the numbers
Yeah.
and pay attention to what sold, spend some time digging into my social media, what's the kind of content that got the most reach.
Mhm.
And even though there are things that I wanted to do or things that I thought were brilliant, it's not what sold. And
Mhm.
um, I'm not in the business to, I mean, I am in the business to create things that are meaningful to me, but if
Mhm.
nobody's willing to buy them, then it's just an expensive hobby. So I had to really
Yes.
separate myself,
Yes.
hear what my customers were saying and what they needed, and then start offering more of that. And what's interesting now is that even with that, there's been a mindset shift in me and how I feel about some of the things that I'm selling. That a couple of years ago when I started, zero excitement. I'm like, I'm not doing that. And then now I'm doing it. And it's
Mhm.
still a lot of fun because people are still really happy about what they're getting. And that was what Just Suck It is supposed to be about
Yeah, that's right.
anyway. Um,
That's right.
and so
I
one of the things, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, keep going. This is just gorgeous stuff, and I really want people to soak this in because it's pure gold.
Oh,
It's very important to understand that while we are like the vessel to birth a beautiful business idea and offer to the world. We are not that offer, right? There's a
Right.
separation between us. And we have now created essentially a child who will interact in the world in its own way. And now I'm really going to go down this analogy rabbit hole, but make friends with the friends who want it versus the ones that we may want for it.
Yes, exactly. Oh, I like how you said that. That's exactly it. So important.
And so you're talking to that. And again, you know, like by incorporating, you created that separation. And now by really seeing what's working, you can save time and energy and deliver what the demand wants. And now fast forward from, you know, like you just said, years ago, you might not have thought, but what's exciting is that it's gaining momentum and it's becoming more and more live and people are reacting to it in a way. So now it's more about the energy around that particular offer or, I don't know, succulent arrangement versus it being this one thing that you want it to be, right? So there's a bit of detachment, which allows for more like response or I don't know, like more energy to move around it because you're not trying to control whatever the it is.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. And when looking at my sales and what I was doing, I realized my gift packages was coming from corporate. I rarely had individual orders for gifts on my website. But I had all these people asking me, do you sell this particular succulent? So it was for collectors. And I was like, no, I don't sell succulents. Go to a nursery, which seemed really silly because I thought I'm a gift company. That's all I do is gifts. And then when my corporate orders stopped and then people were asking me for succulents, I thought, why am I not selling succulents? I knew why. It caused me anxiety. Like there's something different. The expectations are a little bit different because I'm a collector. So I was looking at it from me. And when I would get a succulent that wasn't in good shape, I'd be like, why did they send me this? You know? And then I never wanted anybody to open up a gift or a box from me with a succulent that something might have happened to it in shipping or
the quality control. You felt like you didn't have a handle on the quality control because I'm gonna throw this at you. You're a suck purge.
Right. Oh, I like it. Yes. I'm a suck purge. I like it.
So in all your gift boxing, you planted a flag as a succulent expert and people were like, now, oh, succulents, Andrea. But you were like, no, wait, what?
I know. That's exactly what happened. Like everything I posted about is succulent care. And this is a type of succulent. And so people were like, do you sell them? No, of course not. I'm a gift company. Made zero sense. And then someone actually said to me, you sell succulents, Andrea, or something like that. And like, I sell gifts. Damn it. And then I realized, I'm not marketing properly. So now I do right now 2 different marketing strategies. I use LinkedIn for corporate, and that's where I get I make all my corporate connections, and then I use social media, just regular other social media, Instagram, TikTok, for succulents. And of course, I let people know that I do corporate orders and throw that stuff in there. But I use TikTok and Instagram and Facebook, and that's what attracts my individuals. So for the Sucky Friends membership, I started a membership this year, and my individual succulent orders.
That's amazing.
And it's working. I'm having a great time. I think it's so much fun.
And now you haven't niched down to the point of like not having anywhere to go with the business. In fact, instead of, staying specific to just this one thing, you get to increase your passion, explore more creativity, like we talked about, and reach more people as a result.
Yes. And that's and then not only that, there's a clear path, a clear vision for my business that I didn't have before. And both are leading me on the way. Right now, it's corporate that gives me the most as far as income and revenue is concerned. but I'm growing at a decent pace for my succulents and my membership. And so both of them are just really working together beautifully right now. And then next year I'm hoping for a live event, which because I love bringing people together. I love bringing people together. And and so there was something lacking in the corporate gifting part too. So I believe in the universe and signs and being guided. And I can't help but think that the decrease in corporate sales was a really swift kick in the butt to point me in another direction to make sure that I'm still living my purpose, like so that I feel every morning when I wake up that I'm doing something that makes a difference. And now everything's just sort of coming back together. So it's really exciting.
This is so right. Corporate is now like the stable revenue, if you will.
Yeah.
And an established business. So you started there, you stuck with it, you did it really well. And now it's kind of growing and fluid and anchored down, which means that you have capacity to move into some other more fun, other creative things and develop different streams of revenue out of one business platform.
Yes.
Which is fantastic because you don't need to learn another set of skills. You don't need to rebrand, you don't, et cetera. It can all work under the one LLC, but now you can have so much more play and presumably have a bit of financial stability from one of the business divisions.
Yes.
Right.
Which is the goal. Right. Because when you're worried about how you're going to pay bills or how you're going to make rent or how you're going to pay payroll, it's really hard to be creative. And the worst decisions I've ever made have been decisions out of fear or anxiety. And I was making a ton of them for a while, too long. And I just like, it's not worth it. So just focus on the one thing, the thing that works, even if it's not necessarily
totally like the dream. It's a piece on the way to the dream.
Yes. So it's still part of the dream. It's just it's not the end goal, but it's part of it. So that mindset shift also helped me with, it's like, this is good. And I also imagine the joy on the faces of the people who open up the box. And that helps too, because putting a box, like 300 boxes together is pretty tedious. It's boring. It's repetitive. I don't like doing that stuff. But it's the joy that I think when people see the name, just suck it. It's like, what is this? Especially if they don't know what's happening. Like, why did I get this box? And then they open it up and see that it's a succulent. And then they see the embrace the suck message in there. I often get, I remember once I got a message from somebody that said, so I didn't know I was getting this gift. And I opened up my door and there was a box that said, just suck it on it. And I was afraid to open it. But then she said she loved it. And it was one of the best gifts that she had ever received. So I was excited about that.
Yeah. So it's like delivering little drops of sunshine, even though it could feel like they're going into the unknown abyss. When you get that feedback, you're connecting. And it's a reciprocal win that way. That's awesome. And so how big is your company? Like, do you have team members now? You have staff working with you, or is it still just you?
It's still just me. And then Mr. Sucky, my fiance. And then I get, I have a VA, a virtual assistant, and she's actually in Kenya. And then I get seasonal help when I need it. And a lot of kids, teenagers love to help. And so they get experience. I teach that if they want to learn about what it takes to run a business, or if they want to learn about, plants. And then now too, it's so interesting. And this is something just me personally. I've thought of myself as, I don't want to say not a leader, but is there something like, I see people that I admire. So one of my mentors has been, her name is Shalene Johnson, and I would have done anything for her. So I volunteered for her marketing impact conference whenever she needed something, because I learned so much and she gave so much. And what's interesting is that I now have a circle of people around me who are willing to do that too, who message me and say, if you need help putting packages together, I would love to come and help you. And I thought, and at first it made me uncomfortable. Like, why? And then now and now I get it. I realize that they see me the same way that I saw
Mhm,
Shalene. And
mhm.
because I learned so much from her and she gave so much. And I realized that I guess that's what I've been doing as far as the messages that I've sent that have been really helpful to people. And so I guess it's their way of paying back. Not that I expect it. I think that's the thing. Like, I don't expect you
It's
to pay
that
me
you're
back for this.
creating an opportunity for them to be around something good,
Yes. Yeah.
right?
And so now
So
I'm in a mode
probably
with,
you've been going looking out, and this like we don't use video in them, but the visual here
yeah.
is like hands are open and out, and here's Andrea marching forward and pulling the succulent business behind her. But in the meantime, people are seeing this and loving the energy of it and wanting to be a part of it. So you're creating
Yeah.
like a community and a following. And when you talk about these teams coming in and all the beautiful things that the wisdom that you can share, now I'm like, oh, boom, you could do workshops for teens, and it
Mhm.
brings you back to your social work roots, right?
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
everything's rolling forward and in together and providing like this endless abundance of what you can do from having been just a gift company.
Right. Yeah. And it's a really interesting and uh, what is the word I'm looking for? Like I'm growing as a person
Yes, of
too in
course.
this role,
Yeah.
and I love that, and also helping me realize the times where I've said no to help, whether because I thought I
Mm-hmm.
didn't deserve it or I didn't want to be I don't know,
Mm-hmm.
but that's not how I can't scale a business that way.
Mm-hmm.
You have to ask for help and you have to be willing to receive it when it's offered. So
Mm-hmm.
that's what I'm doing now.
Well, that's awesome. And how's it going with the VA?
It's good. She does all of the copy and pasting stuff, so it's
Mm-hmm.
just pretty simple tasks. It's just the
Mm-hmm.
thing. But sometimes I do it just because I feel like I want to be in the middle of it and I want to
Mm-hmm.
make sure everything is going okay. But yeah, it just takes a lot of it frees up my time.
It
I
frees
can
up your time.
do the things that make me more money.
That's right.
And I don't know if you talk about that, but I think a lot of times business owners is who maybe start a side hustle because of a passion, and then they say it's not about the money, and I just want to create. I'm like, well, then you're gonna have an expensive hobby.
Mm-hmm.
You have to. I mean, if you're not selling, if you're not figuring out how to either um, create more time for yourself so that you can do the activities that generate more revenue, like admit that you want to make money, because if not, then
Yes.
it's not a business. And I struggled with that too. And for a while, my profits, or when I started, my profits weren't great because I was like, I'm just going to create something beautiful and I want people to feel happy.
Mm-hmm.
And now I still want that. That's still the ultimate goal, but it's also really fun to figure out how can I create that in less time and
Mm-hmm.
or spending less money.
Mm-hmm.
And I never used to get excited about that, but that's a whole new challenge where I'm learning. But I think for me, one of the reasons why that's exciting to me is because then I can teach it to somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
And so then I still feel like I'm making a difference. If I can figure this out, then I can share it with somebody else and then they can create something for them. Um, so if you're listening, you got to figure out how, you got to you got
Well,
to
you
figure
know
out the
what?
money.
Yes. Fuck yes. And
I was wondering if
all,
we could swear on that. I wasn't
yeah, we can
sure.
fucking swear.
Perfect.
All this time. Now it's just going to be like a trucker release and all this pent up swearing from the last
Yeah.
half an hour. The money, like I'm going through this myself right now, and all these, I don't know what, weird stigmas around money, but I'll often post and say, like my audience is largely female. My love to serve women is like, why are we doing this? We're doing it to fucking make some money. Like
Right.
it's okay to want that. So
Mm-hmm.
this timidity, this like what, willful, I'm just a person of service kind of thing is
Bullshit.
bullshit. Yeah, it's bullshit. It's hiding from what you really are. We are
Exactly.
badass female entrepreneurs. We are leading the world forward, and we damn well deserve to get paid for the amazing stuff we do. So get comfortable with it. Talk about money, play with your money, date your money, and the best probably, well, I don't know about the best, but like one easy exercise in receivership is to just ask for money in return. So whatever offer you have, just even ask $10 for it, and just open up the channel to get paid for what you do, because there's nothing wrong with that. Like money is its own thing, and don't attach to it, but you know, make room for it to thrive, like the succulents.
Yes.
I'm sure there's a lot of analogies.
No, yes.
We plant the garden of money.
I like it. Plant that garden of money and let it grow. My mindset coach, or my mastermind coach last year, had said, don't put your money beliefs on others. And I thought, wow, I feel attacked right now.
Good.
I know,
right?
yes.
I'm like,
and I realized I was doing that. I was doing that. And so I was undervaluing some of my products and some of my services. And then I realized, part of the reason I was struggling is because I wasn't asking, number one. And when I did ask, it wasn't enough. And now I know the value that I bring. And I'm also a believer in fake it till you make it. Confidence is a muscle that needs to be worked. And I remember the first time, I'm trying to think of what my first 5-figure order was $13,000. And I remember when I was calculating everything, before I sent the invoice, I think it was less than 10K. And I thought, no, I want this to be my first 5-figure order. And so I changed it and sent it. He was like, sure, good, right away. I'm like, shit, that was easy. Like
all the money I left on the table because I was insecure about like asking for it.
Like the worst thing that could have happened was they said, sorry, that's out of my budget. And then I would have been willing to change it. And so now with that, I also, with all of my gifts, I know the minimum that I need to make. So depending on what it is, I have a formula for, this is my cost of goods and this is how much time I'm spending. This is how much I have to sell it for. And that's it. There's no more negotiating, and you either pay it or you can't. And there's always somebody who can pay it.
Of course.
Always. It took me a while to figure that out though.
Yeah, it does. It does take time, but at least you do. And now we can talk about it, and we can help more people, work through that and acclimatize to that and be comfortable with that, because it is so important. And anybody who has a product-based business, there is like just so many more things to consider in the costing of it. And so you do have to suck it up and sit down and go through those fees. And, even in the online, if everything's delivered online, like you still have a lot of tangible expenses and time to create the programs, to create the messaging, to reach the audiences. And while that may not be stuff that we pick up in our hands, it's still cost of goods for creating an offer. So when we think about it in that way, we can, compensate ourselves. And what I like about what you did there too, is you made space for you to get paid. So it's not just about delivering the order, but and covering your costs. It's also getting paid to do it because of everything you've put into birthing these purchases, right? For corporate. You absolutely need to get your paycheck out of it too, and being comfortable with that. So that's very exciting. Good for you. And do you foresee your team growing this year? Like, are you thinking about adding more people, or are you feeling good about operating in the capacity?
Oh no, if I reach the goals, I guess I know when I reach the goals, then I'm going to need help. There's going to be no way that I can do this. And right now, even this month, I've already gotten. So the thing with corporate orders is that I have plenty of time. Usually they order a month or two in advance, sometimes 3. So I know what's coming. And honestly, it's so much easier to handle a corporate order of 300 than it is 60 individual orders from my website. It just is right now. So, but if I continue to get the same volume of corporate orders, I'm going to need to hire somebody to help me pack and ship,
Fulfill.
because
Yeah.
managing the website and my individual orders, and then SUCC IT Friends, my membership, and I created SUCC IT Friends because I wanted something. Well, that's going to build into something, so I have a strategy for that as well. There's an end goal for that, but it's also to bring community together, and then also to have something that costs, like, there's no inventory, there's no overhead for doing that, other than the cost of the software, and that's that's it. So that's why I created SUCC IT Friends too.
Awesome. Andrea, you're killing it. I love it. This is
it's
so
fun.
Great. It is. Well, if you take that approach to it, right? So like, I am growing out of my serious self, because I also have this crazy, explosive rainbow self, but I live in my Capricorn alignment. I
have a my son's a Capricorn, and I'm like, get it. I understand.
So it's really nice to hear you laugh, to see you smile so much, and to see you just kind of play in the energy of your business and with yourself. And I say that, compliments to you and appreciation, reflection of you, and also for those listening to remember that, like, have fun with it. Otherwise, what's the point, right? Otherwise, you're just trading your job for another job. And the whole point is to have this creative outlet and this way to express yourself and be more free, to grow into more of who you are in using your business as like a facilitator to that. So, just to laugh a little more.
Yes. I don't know how much time we have. Do we have a couple minutes for me to share a story?
Yeah, please. Okay.
So speaking about having fun and learning to approach things in a certain way, it was a year ago in January. I got an email from my trademark attorney that said, "Hey, we just got sent a letter from it was Nike. Nike. I don't know what they want, but I had filed a trademark for Just Suck It, and because somebody else had started a Facebook page called Just Suck It, and so people were going to them. They were in Canada, so they couldn't ship anyway, but at least to my customers here in the United States. And I thought, well, that's not cool. Someone has taken my idea, so I wanted to trademark it and protect it. And what I didn't know at the time, so it published. What I didn't know is that there's a 30-day window when a person or a brand can say it conflicts with my trademark,
challenge,
and then they can challenge it. So Just Like It published, I was all excited. I get a letter saying that Nike had filed. What is it called? It was initially an extension of time. So the way that it works, I don't know about Canada, but here in the United States, there's a 30-day extension of time, and then there's a 60-day extension of time. So it's a total day of 90 days. And then you have to prove that it doesn't conflict. Anywho, so I got it, and I know, but five years ago, I probably would have started crying. Like, oh my God, it's over. But honestly, my very first thought when I saw it was, ooh, this is gonna be fun. And then I'm like, they picked the wrong one. So my attorney said, you just need to wait. I'm like, I ain't waiting. No, they have billions of dollars. I have to get ahead of this however I can. Because I was like, this is so ridiculous. I sell succulents. So I went to social media because I thought, okay, they have billions of dollars. I have my voice and social media. And so I created this TikTok, and I didn't have, I don't even know how many followers I had. I wasn't active on TikTok at all. So I did this TikTok. I'm like, Nike's coming for me. And I went through the whole thing, didn't think out anything of it. And then the next day it had gone viral. I woke up and I was like, holy moly. So then I did this whole series. So what's interesting is that within a matter of days, they sent me a cease and desist. And I've since realized what they typically do, and this is how the strategy for this first 30 day, then 60 day, is that they extend it till the very last minute. And then in the last 2 weeks, they give their demands. And then there's not a whole lot of time that an entrepreneur, especially somebody like me, can actually do anything in those 2 weeks. But because they
try to run the clock out on you.
Yeah, but I didn't allow it. So they had to sent me a cease and desist because their social media was being spammed with all these people saying, Nike, you can just suck it, leave the plant lady alone. So they, so what I ended up, a lot of things happened.
Mhm.
But I did withdraw my trademark because I realized they weren't going to let it go.
Mm.
But they had offered to let me keep my business name,
Mhm.
but there were other stipulations in there. And I'm like, yeah, that's not cool. So I'm just going to withdraw my trademark. And if you want to come after me for selling succulent earrings, you guys just suck. But so they've left me alone. But the thing,
Okay.
I guess the bigger overarching picture
Mhm.
of this is that you can choose to approach any challenge with fear and trepidation or curiosity and learning. And that's how I chose to approach Nike. That was a
Mhm.
skill that I developed. There was a
Mhm.
time where I would have been crying. Um, and I would be lying if I said there weren't some periods in there where I did have anxiety.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, what am I? When people kept saying it's just a name, Andrea, and I think no, it's
Mhm.
not just a name. I can't tell you how many times I've gotten messages from people that said, I follow you, or I ordered from you
The name.
because of the name, and it
Mhm.
just reflects my brand and who I am. And um, so so I did have anxiety, but overall I was like, I'm going to learn something regardless of the outcome. So there'll be mistakes I won't have to repeat again.
Mhm.
And while I'm doing this, I can make it work as much as I can for me. Like I'm going to get a benefit. So part of that was national media attention
Mhm.
and 25,000 new followers in a few days.
Not bad.
People reaching out, people
Mhm.
like, so there were some benefits. Do I have a trademark? No, but Nike's gatekeeping. No one's ever going to be able to mile to suck it.
Well,
And
and
what,
that's your domain name and you're using it and yeah, there's in Canada, there's a like common law that can
mhm,
apply even if you're not legally trademarked where
yes,
you've taken it and claimed it and consistent use of it still makes it yours. So
yeah. And there's
you
enough media attention to show that it was mine when I had it. And
yeah, yeah,
so
predated. Yeah.
it's clearly mine. But
Yeah.
yeah, it was really interesting. So with any challenge, you can choose how you approach it. You can choose how you feel about it.
And
And
you
that
can,
is,
yeah, grow through it, right?
yes,
Learn
yeah.
about yourself.
Yeah, I have to admit, I have trademark PTSD now, and people are like, "Are you going to trademark this, or you should try?" I'm like, I ain't trademarking nothing for a while. I'm good.
Totally.
Yeah,
And can laugh about it.
yeah, yeah.
Super.
It's right.
That's awesome. Well, this has been a real treat. You're just so delightful, and I'm grateful to have spent the morning with you and to get to know you. And I look forward to seeing what the year brings for you. And welcome to my world. I'll be seeing you around online.
Yes, I appreciate you. Thanks for inviting me. This was a lot of fun.
Awesome. Thanks, Andrea.